You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. You're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. That's the definition of a good-looking person, looking for and finding the good. You are going to be rewarded today because we found good in huge amounts. You're going to meet Bert Brodsky, and it's going to rock your world. And I promise you, now, I say thank you to the more than 500,000 people that are tuned in right now, consciously and conscientiously from around the world. And you come here for one reason only, and the best reason in the whole world, because you care the most in the entire world about you, Y-O-U. And that's great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And thank you so much because you're always telling your family and friends to come and listen to the podcast. And thank God every week another 25, 30,000 people are here. So we'll be over 1 million within the next few months. And I urge you all, just share this with 5 people. That's it, just 5. Now, you want to share with 50 or 100, that's great. We love it. At least 5 people that you care about so we can touch millions and millions of people around the world. Because especially today, you're going to hear a message that's going to resonate with you for the rest of your life. So that on this show, we discuss what we call the 3 fundamentals of life. And the 3 fundamentals are, number 1, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. In this case, good number 2, you go mad. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym. It stands for make a difference. Lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. You're going to learn that today from Bert. And number 3 is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example. This show is now carried and seen, heard by hundreds of thousands of people around the world, God willing, millions soon. And if you ask anybody, what does www stand for? In fact, variables they have to do with the internet. Factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? W-H-A-T-A. And of course, the tip of the hat. A big thank you to Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, for enabling that song to go viral and touch not just millions and tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of people around the world. Whenever you hear the opening bars of what a wonderful world, what do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you can have internalized, utilize, and leverage in your life because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And in the evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, or necked out. It's called being quadriplegic. I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. And it was not from an automobile accident. It wasn't a spinal injury. It was a rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, took over my body and rendered me completely paralyzed. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home for 2 years. I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. Can't walk up a curb by myself. I help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you, I'm blessed to speak with millions of people around the world on my podcast every week. I have 2, now 3 podcasts, and thank God we touch millions. However, I also do in person. I live here in Henderson, Nevada, right outside of Las Vegas, and I did a show presentation recently. We had 1,127 people telling the story about Barry Shore and being paralyzed and no longer and seeing miracles. And I have a number of you raise their hands and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been out for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water, drink, you have food, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simple as proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or you're listening, you didn't. If we have an obligation to live life to the full, to live exuberantly, which you're going to learn from Bert in just a couple of minutes. I just want to urge everybody to do the following. Listen to a story that my 8-year-old niece, she asked me the other day, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about smiles and why not? How come? And she said, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world that she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. Rethinking. Really a shift in perspective. Now, I've been working with people for more than half a century, and I can tell you, when people come to me initially, they're on paper look great. And then when I talk to them, what they've done, they drop the F in shift, and the other stuff was happening in their life. You got to keep your F's in place. You want to shift your perspectives a little bit, and then you can use the 6 most important words you ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. That's right. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine your path in life and your trajectory. Now, before we bring on Bert, I want to warn him and all the other people listening. I use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word. And I do it because of the shock value, and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant: love, life, hope, play, free, give, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. Well, some people raise their hands and say, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. The world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Fun's with F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends, twinkle in your eyes, smile on your face, point your finger, say, F-U, everybody. Add right away, capital N, capital N. You got their attention. Now you can share with them all the amazing insights you're going to learn today, because Bert is bursting with insights. So before we bring him on, just want to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. And the result is you'll be happier, you'll be healthier, you'll be wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. Kind is a fabulous word that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody that inspires noble deeds more than the amazing, wonderful, fabulous Bert Brodsky. Bert, please say hello to 521,917 people around the world.
I'll say hello to everybody. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Seems like he's low key. He ain't. He's anything but. This is, again, I am humbled and honored that he's here with us today, giving us of his time, his insights, his energy. If I started telling you all the things that Bert has accomplished in his life, take the rest of the show. So I'm going to give you 3 data points. Number 1, he's a remarkably successful entrepreneur. Number 2, he is an active, I use the word active, philanthropist. And number 3, he is active in his community, making a difference. He's a madman. He makes a difference. And one of the best things is he loves his mother, he loves his children and his grandchildren, because that's who he is. He's a being that understands that the love is the pathway to success in life. So without just going further, Bert, right away, let's jump right in. I would like it if you'd be so kind, because we have, again, worldwide audience. And as I tell people, listen, everybody wants to live in America. Okay, but you don't have to. What you want is an American mindset. And the American mindset is what you embody, which is make it happen, do it, no matter what your circumstance. Bert, you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. You had another one in the drawer, and you had silver spoons everywhere, right? Tell us what it was
Not
like.
quite accurate statement. I grew up in the Bronx. As a child, I was sleeping in the kitchen, which is part of the like kitchenette within the kitchen. My brother, grandmother shared the living room. My parents had the bedroom. We had one bathroom, and we managed to survive. But I will tell everybody, because when they think slept in the kitchen and you lived in the Bronx, you had an unhappy childhood. It's the exact opposite. I had a terrific childhood. I loved it. And I tell people, I spoke at my 50th college reunion and told the audience I slept in the kitchen. And you had a moaning from the audience, like how terrible that is. And then I told them that anybody who lived in the A line of my building had a child, that child was in the kitchen. It wasn't just me, it was everybody. We were all the same, came home from school, dropped off our book, went across the street, and played in the playground and played on the grass. When it got dark, we came home for dinner, and it was a wonderful experience. I kind of regret my children and my grandchildren didn't have that experience because it's a wonderful way to grow up.
And let's be blunt. Everything you said here conjures up, like you said, oh my gosh, it must have been horrible, poverty and such. And it was also because there was a great family structure, wasn't there?
Well, we didn't know anybody got divorced. Everybody was, you had a homogeneous family. My brother and I lived together. My parents were there. My aunt and uncle was one floor above us. Everybody in the building was aunt and uncle. And what was interesting was we lived in a section. The building had two sections. Each side had six apartments. And what the adult parents would do is one person stayed home, one family adult stayed home. The other five could go out Saturday night. Everybody left their door open. And if you had a fight with your brother, you went next door to Aunt Ida, who's really not your aunt, but she's been in the building with you all these years, and she would solve the problem as if it were your own parent. And that's how we grew up in that wonderful environment.
So let's be blunt. I'm asking you a leading question because I think I know the answer. It seems that the values, even in the United States of America, this wonderful, great giving country, have changed. Do you see this in your own life?
Here's what I do. My children, I live in an affluent area. My children grew up there. My grandchildren grew up there. And I try to explain to them that they don't live in what I refer to as the real world. We're an anomaly. It's we're in a separate section of the world, and I try and teach them that everybody doesn't have two cars, and every child doesn't have a bike, and every child doesn't go on vacation for spring break or holidays. And I want them to understand what the real world's like, and I try to take them to these places. As you know, I chair several charities, and I explained to them about what this country's like and what happened. One of the examples I gave them, which I kind of got in trouble for, but it was worth the trouble. One of my companies gives vaccines to meant really for the home care workers in the state of New York. And what happened was during COVID, there were 350,000, no, I'm sorry, 35,000 Holocaust survivors, of which there were 350 in this one nursing home, in this one Y, all requiring the COVID vaccine. Now, remember, they're all Holocaust survivors, so most of them did not have relatives because they all perished during the Holocaust. So someone called me and asked, was there any way of me getting the vaccine for them? And since we had access to the vaccine, we actually did go and vaccinate the 350 Holocaust survivors. And we were criticized for it because the vaccines were given to us not by restrictions on what we could do with it, but it was we thought we'd use it for the home care workers, which we did. We had extra vaccine, and we're criticized for doing it with those Holocaust survivors. Yet they were the ones who said to me that two people in particular that their life was saved twice. Once when they were saved out of Auschwitz, and the other they got their vaccine for the COVID vaccine, which I kind of, on one hand, felt happy. On the other hand, these people suffered. Who deserved a break more than these people? So I took the heat, but it was worth it.
It's interesting you make the analogy. It took the heat. We just had this great situation with a spaceship going to the moon, going around, coming back. And in order to come back into the Earth's atmosphere, you have to intense heat. You have to have a heat-resistant shield.
Yep.
I think that what you just said, Bert, doing the right thing provides a heat-resistant shield. You can take the heat when you do the right thing. Is that fair to say?
I will tell you, yes, but you see, it really all goes back to I grew up and I went to a high school for some gifted students. And you know, your own brains, you don't build that. You get that from your genes, and that's given to you by your parents and your grandparents. And I was grateful for that school. And then I went to City College because it was free. They used to refer to it as a Harvard of the poor, and I got a great education there. And those are the schools that I thank. And I often say the people I help, they should thank those schools. Because if I didn't get my education and couldn't do what I've done in my career, I couldn't help those people that I'm helping now. There are 2 million people touched by Alzheimer's that we affect. We have an organization which is helping those families, 2 million people who are afflicted with Alzheimer's. I also chair what's called the CCRC, a Continuing Care Retirement Community, which is a nursing home, assisted living, and independent housing. And all those people, I'm not a letterhead chairman, I'm an active chairman. So I actually participate and make decisions on what I believe is the right thing for those charities. And yes, do I participate in other charities? These two, I would say, I'm close to being a CEO chairman, although they each have CEOs. But no major decision will get made without my input because I had an education which gave me an intelligence that I could use in these charities.
So let's take a leap from there and let's talk about the G word. And as you mentioned, the E word. The E word is education. And again, I talk about the American mindset for everybody who's listening. We have people listening from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, from Congo, from all over the world. The American mindset is get yourself an education, learn, and learn.
My mother would have cut off her arm to get me to go to college. They didn't have the money. If I didn't go to City College, which was free, if I had to pay, she would have done anything because that's how I grew up. My parents were uneducated because they came from Europe, but they knew that it was important to have children because with an education, you can do a lot of things. And they saw that value. And I'm glad because remember, everybody around me also grew up in the same environment. So we all went to college. You know, it's not as if I was unusual. But
Right?
everybody, the only problem was which school you could go to. And, you know, my high school, 85% of the students went right to City College from my high school because we all came from the Bronx and we had limited economic ability.
Uh, in the again, I want to talk about the G word, gratitude, in just a moment. We're going to go to a break, and we'll come right back. I'm riveted, and I think a lot of people are on the edge of their seats. And I want to just mention something. And I have a good friend who played very high level football, and his coach taught the people a great phrase. It's called YAW, YAW, which stands for you are who you associate with. And what you're saying here is that the environment you grew up in a nice, competitive, strong way with education, we're going to go to college. We're going to do something. We're all mad people. We're going to make a difference.
I can say, I think we were too young to think we'd make a difference. I think we wanted an education because we thought our lives would be better and maybe we could help other people if we had education, and not we'd be able to add to society rather than without education take from society. And I think we all want
I'm going to put you on hold. On that note, again, we're talking about another G word, being givers. Being
yeah.
givers. Okay, we're going to go to a break. We have, thank God, sponsors, love our show. We vet them. We wouldn't have them on. We think they're worthy of your time and attention. We'll be right back with more Bert Brodsky and insights into how to live well right after this brief message. Don't go away.
Hey, quick pause. If something you just heard made you stop and think, don't let that moment pass. Because that shift, that awareness, is the doorway to real joy. Barry Shore has put together a free ebook with simple, powerful strategies to help you live in joy every day. Go to barryshore.com and download your free copy now, because one small shift can change everything.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. You're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Bert Brodsky, and we're talking about rising up from an interesting background about sleeping in the kitchen, and not because he wanted to. Actually, it was the warmest place in the apartment and such, and growing up in an environment that nurtured education, that nurtured giving, that nurtured gratitude, which in my humble opinion, the EGG, that is the egg from which everything comes, education, giving, and gratitude. I'd like to continue our discussion here, Bert, with that. So you have people, a lot of people that you know, now going to go to City College. And again, one of the criteria is free. And the second criteria is, you know something? No matter where, if you study chemistry, I'm just making it up now. If you study organic chemistry, it doesn't matter if you study at CCNY or you study it in Harvard or Princeton. It's all the same. It's organic chemistry. So it's how much you put in is really going to determine how much you get out. Is that fair to say?
I will tell you, it's not just the course. It's your activity in the school. I didn't realize when I was doing it. So I was president of my fraternity, as an example. I was chairman of the Leadership Society of the student body, because I think I appreciated, probably as much as everybody in the school, how important it was for what we were doing and what we were learning and what we would do with our lives afterwards. So, yeah, we learned a lot, but it's what you put into the school, not just in the books. I tell my grandchildren who are I have 4 out of college already, but some still there. It's what you put into your education. It's not just the books. It's socialization. It's what do you do for the community. I mean, I remember when I was in the fraternity, we picked up cigar bands to turn in for money that went to charity. And that was one of our assignments in the fraternity. So we thought about people less secure than us. Our old coats, we had a coat drive in the wintertime for those who had no coats. And it was part of the fraternity. I was in a fraternity called AEPI, and that was our one of our mantras is to help those who couldn't help themselves.
So this we're going to call it a culture, because it is. This culture of giving, recognizing that you, like you said, you've been blessed. You had good genes. You got the ability to have smart enough to understand how to read and write, and now use that for the benefit, so that people need to understand. I think you said it wonderfully well. Education is far more than books, than textbooks, than knowledge. Matter of fact, we're now on the edge of talking about what I call the W word, wisdom. Now, you may not have known it while you were in college and came to, years later as you grew in business and success and such. However, that socialization, that process of integrating knowledge and helping people gave you the wisdom to do something quite remarkable. I'd like you to start now telling the story about what happened with your mother.
So, okay, I will tell you a story. In 1970, my parents had a place in Florida, and my mother kind of like forgot a few things, nothing really terrible, until she wanted to get dressed and use her blouse as a skirt, and you knew there was something wrong. But in the early 70s, it was a you don't mention Alzheimer's. It was almost like the C word for cancer, and there was nowhere to go. You know, had no place to go for advice. You just lived with what you had. And my mother got worse, and she called the police when my father was at the movie theater with me. She called the police because she thought he was kidnapped, and I had to deal with that by myself. And I did all the wrong things because I didn't know the right things. Nobody talked to me about it. So I had an aide come live with my mother and locked her up in the apartment, and that's where she was until she got so sick that she went to the hospital and died. And it was I had nowhere to go. That's what I did. I kind of work around it. Yes, my mother wouldn't leave the apartment in Florida because she didn't want to pay for the cab. So I told the cab company just to say that Medicare's paying for it. And then she called the cab. So you get around it that way, but it's tough. I decided 25 years ago that maybe I could help those who have the same problem but don't know what to do. And so we started the Alzheimer's Foundation of America. We do some research, but our primary goal is to assist the families who have this problem. And now, if your mother has Alzheimer's, you can go to a facility. Here's what you get time off because you could drop them off. They can have music therapy, art therapy, they can dance, they can go into what's called an immersion room. There's a room where you could dial up, it's almost like a theater, whatever you want to see. So if you want to see your old neighborhood, just put in the address. We'll have somebody put in the address, and your old neighborhood will be on the screen. And if you want to watch a movie, Gone with the Wind, have someone put it in, and you can watch Gone with the Wind. And it'll take you back to your old times. And with this disease, it's the old you can remember. It's what happened 20 minutes ago, you can't. But it's an advantage that you give these people. You don't have to lock them up, and you don't have to stay as a babysitter all day long. You get some break. You get a break. And so that's why I said we touched 2 million people. I'm glad for that. I'm sorry I didn't have it, but you know, at least from my problems, they are benefiting. So as an example, we built an apartment for an Alzheimer's patient, and here are the things you don't realize that you could help them with. The phone has a little blocks on the where you dial, and the picture of who you want to dial is on there. So you have your sister or your child or your cousin. Just push that picture, and it will dial the number. We have a digital clock because it's easy for them just to read the numbers than to read a real clock. Blue the bathtub for depth perception. We have a refrigerator with a camera so you could watch, if you're not there, watch what your mother or father are taking out of the refrigerator or putting in the refrigerator. The furniture on the dresser. Each drawer, there's a picture of what's in the drawer. So if they want their sock, they go to the drawer that have a picture of a sock. There's an apartment we built for anybody who has a family who has Alzheimer's. It just makes it easier for the patient, for your mother or your father. It's so different than I suffered with my parents. With my father was not that healthy, and he couldn't take care of my mother. And but so now I'm speaking for those who really can't speak for themselves. And I want them to have what my mother did not have. But from that bad experience, maybe your mother will benefit by it. But that's all I can do. I can't change yesterday. I can only change tomorrow. And that's what I'm trying to do.
As I said, Bert Brodsky is a madman. MAD stands for make a difference. Let's talk about that difficult time when you first were encountering your mother acting a certain way. What did you think it was? Did you think it was dementia? Is Alzheimer's dementia?
No, yeah, it is. But that's the problem. I got angry. I did not realize that she was sick. So when I took my father to the movie, and we came back, and the police were there, and the police said, "Well, your mother said that your father was kidnapped." I got angry at my mother. How could you say that? You know I took him to the movie. Why'd you call the police? And I was angry at her because I didn't realize it's a disease. It's like cancer or any other disease. I didn't realize it. And they, they were in Port Washington. I moved my mother to Port Washington where I was living. I am living. And I had a minority taking care of my mother. And she, by mistake, left the door open to do the laundry. And my mother ran away saying, that person's trying to kill me. And then the person realized she was away and she chased her. And I was lucky. It was in Port Washington where I've been for many years. And a policeman saw him and stopped my mother. And she pointed to the person chasing her, saying she's trying to kill me. But he was because I live in town and the caregiver told the policeman whose mother it was, he called me. He totally got it in a minute. But I was just lucky because they happened to know me in town. But if you're somewhere else, then you got to go to the police station. You got to defend what happened. Maybe she is being chased. Maybe they don't want to kill her. They believe it, and it's almost like an alcoholic. You believe them. I mean, they're good liars, but they don't know. In their mind, they believe that's what's happening. That's why when my mother called the police in Florida, she believed my father was kidnapped. That's what she convinced the police till I came home.
So the pain that I'm feeling and hearing from you was that your initial response to outrageous behavior was to get angry and upset, not recognizing the telltale signs of dementia, Alzheimer's. When did you actually know? Did you take her into a doctor or a series of places?
No, said she had some slight dementia, which will get worse. And it did. At the end, my mother sat in a chair, stared at a television, had no clue. You could put your hand in front of her, she wouldn't blink. She was like a not a live person. And the body functioned, but the brain didn't function. And I don't know if I called it Alzheimer's. I don't know what it was. I think we all said that at the beginning they called it old age, hardening of the arteries, but it was Alzheimer's. But they didn't talk about it. I don't, 55 years ago, I don't think people ever mentioned Alzheimer's as a word.
So to me, it's fascinating in the sense that Alzheimer Foundation of America, AFA, and by the way, everything is in the show notes about what Bert is talking about. So you don't have to write anything down. It's all there. And we're sharing because we want people to be aware everywhere. It's now 25 years that the organization's around. How many years ago did you actually start it? Did you start it 25 years ago?
I did. 25 years ago, I was on the board of a local Alzheimer's organization just in Port Washington. And what we were doing was if we wanted a disc to explain how to deal with it, we produced a disc. And if we wanted to create a program, we created the program. But it was in Port Washington. And my feeling was, why not start a national organization? And then we could create a disc and send it to 1,000 organizations and have one disc, or train one training system, or lecture all these people with one lecture. And that's what my goal was. And then I thought we could raise money from the drug manufacturers. They're not going to give money to Port Washington, but they might give it to a national organization and let us do what we want to do. And then the local organization, maybe they'll do pet therapy, but that's it. You can have a dog and you come pet it, but you can't have the breadth of what we would do, what we are doing now. And that's how we can affect so many people. We have close to 2,000 agencies like that little Port Washington all over the country. So you can go to Texas. If you call me, I can give you an example. I go to Washington 2 or 3 times a year to raise money for Alzheimer's research. I meet all these senators, and I try to explain to them why it's important, what the cost of society is, what's important. So I'm with Sue Collins, the senator out of Maine, before she was well known, but she was the senator, and I told her what we do, and she said to me, I'll put in for a request. My uncle has Alzheimer's. I said, I didn't know that. She said, maybe you could help my uncle. I said, well, where does he live? Well, he's in Maine. Well, Portland, I know we have a place in Portland. Where in Maine? She says, Caribou, Maine. Well, Caribou, Maine is a small town, the last town you get to before you go to Canada. So I called Chuck Fuschillo, who runs this foundation. It's Chuck, by any chance, do we have a place in Caribou, Maine? He said, yes, we do. And then I said to Senator, here's the information. Tell your aunt, call this, and you can drop your uncle off. Know he's safe. Know they'll give him whatever stimulation they can give him. And it helps everyone. It helps the caregiver and it helps the patient, which is what we try and do. We're just trying to make it easy for everybody and maybe help the patient a little bit.
So this is wonderful how you're positioning this. And I want to make mention of something, in my humble opinion, the benefits that you bring from being a successful serial entrepreneur is that you think in scale. In other words, you said, here's a place called Port Washington, Long Island. Okay, it's a very nice place. It's a drop and a drop and a drop, right? Let's be blunt.
50,000 people live in this town.
Okay, it's a township.
Yes.
So here's a guy named Bert Brodsky who says, well, wait a minute, we can help people here. That's very nice. Well, we got America. We got hundreds of millions of people here. And unfortunately, because that's the nature of life, there's going to be millions of people who are going to be affected. I want to position this really beautifully. What Bert was saying is not the Alzheimer patient. Okay, they're in a difficult position. It's the 5, 8, 10 people around that person who are so adversely affected oftentimes because they just don't know what to do. And what you do is
either hire an aide to sit with your mother, which doesn't really help your mother at all, but text her, you don't have to be there. Or put them in one of the facilities by the day, leave them, you get the day off. Now you do whatever you want, knowing that your mother is safe. And whatever they could do, they can do art, they can do music, they can do a scrapbook, they can bring pictures of their family. Whatever they can do, we'll let them do. It's just assist in any way we can to make it less burdensome for the family and some advantage to the patient.
A question that's been sitting inside of me since we began, and even before when I was knowing you were coming on. Why do you think that there are so many more occurrences of Alzheimer today than 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago?
I'll tell you, I absolutely have the answer to that. I was born in 1942, and my age expectancy was 60 years and 6 months. That's how old I'm supposed to live to. I'm now 83. Everybody's living longer. That's why you have more of the Alzheimer's, because that disease progresses with age. So yes, do some people have it at 50 for early onset? Yes. But go look at the vast majority of 75, 80, 85, 90. That's who gets it. And that's why as society grows and lives longer, it's not just Alzheimer's. It's arthritis. It's the knee replacement, the hip. It's all these diseases. Just picture yourself almost like a car or a train. Use it enough. As it gets older, it starts wearing out. And Alzheimer's is no different.
Okay, well, the good news is, and maybe we'll talk about on the other side of the break, of what people could be doing now who are in their 30s, 40s, 20s to make a lifestyle that pushes the envelope, say, and enables one to maintain a great mental attitude, check up from the neck up type of thing, like maybe we'll talk about on the other side of the break. Because basically, you know what Bert Brodsky is? He's a dealer in hope. Hope stands for helping others progress every day. So we're going to go to a quick break, Bert, and one more segment. And again, we wouldn't have these people on if we didn't think they're worthy of your time. We'll be right back after this brief message with one of the great beings of the world, Bert Brodsky. Don't go away.
Hey, quick pause. If something you just heard made you stop and think, don't let that moment pass. Because that shift, that awareness, is the doorway to real joy. Barry Shore has put together a free ebook with simple, powerful strategies to help you live in joy every day. Go to barryshore.com and download your free copy now, because one small shift can change everything.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking. Joe is looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Bert Brodsky talking to us about Alzheimer's, what he went through with his dear beloved mother and the situation, and realizing something can be done. Do you hear this? Not just throwing up your hands or getting angry, get upset. Something can be done, not just on a local basis, a national basis, and even international. And he just gave us the key to understanding why it is there's so many more Alzheimer's patients today. And again, not just the patients, because people are living longer, it's the 5 to 10 people that surround and are affected by the Alzheimer patient. So I'm using that number, 5 to 10 people. Is that accurate, Bert? Is that how many people are affected by every Alzheimer patient?
Well, 2 million patients have it. So, well, really 6 million have it, but take the 2 million we touch. So you have the spouse, you have the children, you could have the grandchildren. We published the two pamphlets. One is how do you deal with Alzheimer's? That's for the adult. And then one that says, how do you deal when grandpa doesn't know your name? That's
wow! Wait a minute. What a great title. That's the way to deal it, right?
How do you explain? Because remember, what does an 8-year-old say when grandpa doesn't know who I am or doesn't know my name anymore?
He doesn't like me.
But now they read it and we put it in a form that they can understand. It's like a cartoon. You have a cartoon copy of the grandfather and the grandchild. Why does grandpa get lost all the time? Why does grandpa not drive his car anymore? Well, they don't know. What does an 8-year-old know? A 9? And how you best want to represent to them that it's just a problem that grandpa has. He got old and he has this disease. Like you get a cold, he has a problem. And so we try and help grandpa. You have to understand. And when grandpa says he doesn't know your name, it's not you. Grandpa still loves you. He does this disease. Like you had a cold, he has trouble remembering things. So.
Wow. So the AFA, the Alzheimer Foundation of America, is producing, not just sitting back and saying, okay, we're here as a resource. You're actively producing information that enables people to not get angry like you have to. I mean, because you didn't know.
When I was mad. How could you not remember? How could you? Because it was an illness.
Well, I'm just going to make mention of something very quickly, and then we can talk about it. Great if you're not. Just yesterday, I sent an article to you that was in the Wall Street Journal. That's why I sent it. Well, you got it? So it said, I think the title of that eating
a lot more red meat.
Right. So is it accurate? Is it true?
Let me tell you what I tell people. There are so many things that we believe will help a little. Maybe the red meat might, we don't know. But we do know that exercising, use your brain, read, be active, they all help. So people often say to me, Bert, you're 83. Why do you still work? Because I continually use my brain. And while I'm using my brain doesn't atrophy, my body doesn't atrophy. So all these things we don't know definitively whether red meat slows down Alzheimer's. We don't know. We do believe that using the brain in whatever way would keep you more active. And we don't know if it postpones it because we don't really know if you'd get it. But if you would get it, we believe it'll slow the action of the Alzheimer's.
So I'm going to make a statement and you're the authority, so you can say, Barry, that's correct. Or, well, let me tell you what's really right. For all the people listening, because our audience, over 500,000 people, and most of them are under the age of 35. So to them, this is fascinating information because people may know somebody. You really want to do something for your life? Listen to what Bert just said. Read, be actively involved in some sort of work, a productive work, exercise. And when we say exercise, it doesn't mean get up from the couch and turn the channel on the TV. It means really exercise. Learn to have a good diet and understand that no matter what, genes are genes. However, by doing things that actively involve your mind and your body, again, take me as an example, thank God, I was a quadriplegic. And now I'm swimming 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. I've been doing, thank God, for over 17 years.
Right.
It's what keeps me young and handsome and tan and reading.
Well, I don't think it keeps you tan. Maybe it keeps you young and handsome, but not tan in the water.
Watch it there, Mr. Brodsky.
You got it. Okay.
You're just jealous because you don't have sunshine like we do in Henderson, Nevada.
I don't have sunshine. Right now, a little cloudy in Port Washington.
Well, it's Port Washington in the springtime. It's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, I want to, before we go to our last couple questions, just make mention of two things. Number one, Bert, I created a little acronym for your name. May I read it to you?
Sure, go ahead.
BERT, Bert. Bert stands for Bringing Enthusiastic, Rewarding Transformation.
Okay, I'll go with that. I think it's accurate.
Thank you. Well, that I got it from you. That's why it's your life. This is, you remember that show? This is your life, Bert Brodsky.
And I went on, I thought it was your life until I realized they were telling me it was my life.
By the way, when you were talking about that immersion room, about being able to see things from one's childhood, like, television shows and Sullivan or things, those things make a difference to people. They help click.
Oh, yeah.
But however, I want to make mention that I think the most important information and transformation that you're bringing today is that there is hope. Hope, again, helping others progress every day. That it's the need, you don't need to get angry. There's a reality of life and working with it in the best way possible so that everybody becomes really good at giving and showing gratitude. Is that true?
Yes, is a quick answer, but I will say, be grateful for what you have. And if you have the ability, just pass some of it on to the less grateful, less not grateful, but has less of ability to do things. Help them along. It's really, if you have the ability, it means so much more to those who don't have the ability. And be grateful for what you have. And no matter what you have, you don't have to be a multimillionaire. If you're happy with your life, pass that on to somebody. Let them be happy. And just, I always say, if there's someone on the street, I will tell you what I have done often. You see somebody begging for money or food. And what I've often done is give them a card and said, I have a warehouse. I'll give you a job. I'll give you a job. You don't have to beg. Now, unfortunately, no one does it. No one takes the opportunity, but I'm offering it to them. And maybe one or two will end up getting a job somewhere. And of course, you could give charity. Those who have the ability should. Because remember, that extra $100 to you is not as nearly as valuable as the $100 to the person who really needs it.
And I am going to be happy to say that one of the things that I've learned about Bert Brodsky, reading about him now, interfacing with him, is that he has been building his giving muscle for decades. And again, as you heard from Bigor, it's not just money, not just a check. It's the giving muscle. It's the socializing. It's the encouragement. It's the ability to enable people to understand that you can do things in this world, that there's purpose. And Bert, it's a delight to be with you. Thank you. Now, I'm sorry to say these words. We're coming to a close on our time together. I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Number 1, will you come back again?
If you like, and I have the ability to time, I'd do it again. Next.
Number 2, Bert Brodsky. You have only 80 seconds to answer this question. What is your most fervent desire?
I want to help as many people as I can in whatever area I can help them. That's really what I want to pass on my gratitude to life.
Thank you. Number 3, may I give you a hug in front of 524,
Sure.
800?
Go ahead.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for. Ready? Heartfelt, unlimited giving. 1.
I will tell you, I'm Ukrainian from background. Ukrainians are huggers.
Okay. And remember, you're listening to The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy. It's the ambassador of joy, an amazing, wonderful Bert Brodsky. And I want to mention something here, very important. This show, as great as he is not about Bert. This show, as wonderful as he is, not about Barry. This show is about you. Y-O-U. You becoming the best you, because when you are the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love. Because remember, share this with 5 people and invite your family and friends to come and listen so we can touch millions of people around the planet. We work with the 3 fundamentals of life. 1, your life has purpose, just like Bert's been telling us and sharing with us. Number 2, when you lead a purpose-driven life, you go mad, you make a difference. Number 3, uncovers the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms, such as WWW, what a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, listen to Bert, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And when you do that, what's going to happen? You're going to have a shift in your perspective. You want to keep the F in place while the other stuff happens. You want to shift your perspective. And when you do that, you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond. Listen to Bert. Choosing to respond in any given situation is going to change the course of your life and your trajectory. He began the American Alzheimer's Foundation of America because he chose to shift his perspective, how to respond to a situation. And of course, I say use a lot of 4-letter words. Now remember, the 4-letter words we use, positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, play, free, give, swim, and tell the world to F you. Remember to add right away, capital N, twinkling eye, smile on your face. People say, what are you talking about? I said, you got their attention. Let me tell you what I learned today from Bert Brodsky. And a blessing from Bert and Barry. Our blessing is go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Bert, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.